But I'm happy to be here with Beth Purcell, my colleague as a This Naked Mind coach, and Beth is also an integrative nutrition health coach. I just really, when I can, want to interview professionals who have something really interesting to offer to those of us who care about healthy eating and weight loss and healthy drinking. And so Beth is one of my healthy drinking colleagues who I just love the way she thinks and talks about this stuff. So Beth, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. I'm glad to be here.
I'm so happy you could make the time. So I would like to hear, our topic that we chose for today is health, alcohol, and imposter syndrome. And how did we end up on that topic?
Well, I, before becoming a coach, was kind of working in the wellness sector. I was doing bioenergetic testing with clients. I was the co-owner of a yoga studio. I was also studying to become, an integrative nutrition health coach. And all the while I was still drinking alcohol. And so for me, imposter syndrome came up, whereas like my life kept moving in this really healthier and healthier direction. And I was helping people with their health and their well-being and their spiritual development in the yoga studio. But yet I was going home and still drinking my, one or two drinks a night. And it just got to the point where I just felt really out of alignment. And I felt like I was presenting myself as someone who I really wasn't, at home. And so at some point the noise really got loud for me. And
started upsetting you.
Yeah, I mean, it's just like if you're not living up to your own ideal of who you are, who you want to be, it can be really painful. And I had a lot of resistance to giving up drinking just because I really had this belief. I had a lot of kind of thought errors about alcohol before I gave it up. Like I thought everybody drinks, right?
Right.
Something we do. It's how you socialize. And I had just done it for so long. And I did use it when I went out socially, and I used it and when I got home to relax. And so I had the resistance to letting it go because it was so part of my everyday routine. But at the same time, I just knew it was limiting me and was not in alignment with what I was doing out in the world.
Well, did you buy into that hype about a little bit of red wine is actually beneficial for us?
Yeah, because we all love confirmation bias, right? We listen to what proves our point. And yes, I didn't even really drink red wine, but yeah, if red wine was good for you, maybe beer was too, right?
Right. So there's a resistance to giving it up, but on the other side, you felt like this is not healthy. This is not aligned with being healthy. Now, some people might argue that, like we say, the articles that say red wine is healthy for you, but there's a part of you that felt like, nuh-uh.
Well, yeah, there was definitely an inner knowing, I think, that had been there for a long time that was like, this is not who you are. This is not who you want to be. This is in some ways limiting your kind of potential and your really healthiest self. I think it's really hard to be as healthy as you can be if you're still drinking alcohol. And now, as you know, as a coach, there's zero research now that proves any kind of health benefit for alcohol. It's kind of all been debunked. Some of the stuff that was saying that when they looked into it, had money backed from big alcohol. So yeah, there's zero health benefits. I mean, you can't even argue with that anymore, which I think is helpful when people want to let go of alcohol.
Yeah. So there's zero health benefits, but is it really harmful? Like, why were you feeling like it's not consistent? Now, you know what I think about this. That's why you're smiling like that.
Yeah.
But it'd be good for people to hear someone else talk about it.
Yeah. Well, for me, actually, when I was going through the health coaching curriculum, we had various lecturers, and one of them was Dr. Amen, who does a lot of work with the brain, and he shows brain scans. And he wasn't speaking specifically to alcohol, but he showed these brain scans of regular drinkers compared to not drink, people who don't drink. It was shocking how much your brain volume shrinks.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm getting older every year, as we all do. And it's like, I do not want my brain to be compromised.
Yes.
And then another lecturer there her name was Dr. Libby Weaver from Australia. And she did a presentation on the liver. And again, it wasn't 100% alcohol focused, but when she spoke to the alcohol part, like it never really occurred to me that my body, like your liver stops doing everything else when you drink.
Right.
It has to go to work to metabolize that alcohol to, it's like,
Right.
I just was like, the more I learned that way, physical facts, scientific facts, I was like, this is not a good thing to be doing to myself.
Right. And it is interesting how easy it is to tell ourselves it's not that big a deal. Some of the messages we hear are, as long as you're not an alcoholic, you don't need to concern yourself with changing your drinking, right?
Yeah, and you look around, not everyone drinks. I know that's false now, but a lot of people do drink in our culture,
Yeah.
right? And not to excess, but it's just something we come to think is normal. But that used to be the situation for cigarettes, right? Everyone used to smoke. And now we look back, we're like, how could they be doing that? And I really do think alcohol is headed in that direction.
We just were having a conversation this week about those Virginia Slims ads. You've come a long way, baby. And
Yeah.
we're seeing similar things happen in the research as far as women in the upper society classes drinking more and more and more and really developing a lot more health issues because of it. But the ads don't say that.
No, but the ads do really, there's been marketing that's very female specific in the last 5 to 10 years too, that are aimed at moms, and they're pink and all these things. It's really sad and manipulative, but I think that's part of it. We are susceptible to marketing, even when we think we're not.
We think we're not. Yeah, I know. I started getting kind of mad about that. Like, I thought this was so normal. I thought this was so sexy, so sophisticated. And here I am, pre-diabetic and 60 pounds overweight, having trouble walking anymore because of so much inflammation. Like, is alcohol making my condition so much worse than it has to be? And thinking of myself, no, I'm young. I'm a person who's going to be hiking in the mountains in my 80s and feeling like, I think you're fooling yourself.
Yeah, there is a lot of, alcohol does fool a lot of people for a long time. I was fooled by it. I really thought it wasn't doing a lot of harm. But again, it was like, for me, there was a lot of disconnect between what I was doing and what I was feeling. Like, I just felt like a fraud, because I was really encouraging people to do what they could for their health. Like, different vitamins and minerals would come up in bioenergetic testing, and we'd talk about how to optimize these things. And yet, if you're going home and drinking every night, you're like undoing a lot of the improvements that you're trying to make.
Did you have like a wake up call moment where you kind of hit a wall and said, I need to stop. I need to change this?
Yeah, I did. I got a hangover, and I have to say that those came so easily the last couple of years. I think just due to age, it would be 2 drinks could make me feel terrible the next day. But anyway, I did wake up with a hangover, and I didn't know, am I going to get sick? Am I not going to get sick? I was 52, and my daughter's in the room down the hall. I'm like, what am I doing? Like this, I know it's not good for me. I don't feel in alignment with what I'm doing in the world, and here I am sick. Like, this is ridiculous. So I vowed to myself, you're taking a 30-day break. You at least need to, give your body a break. At that point, I think there was a lot of fear, like, can I do it? I had done it for so long. So I was like, I'm doing 30 days. And now in 2 weeks from now, I'm 3 years. I never went back after the 30 days, because for me, and I think for a lot of people who are especially already healthy, you feel so many benefits with just 30 days.
Oh, what did you notice when you stopped drinking alcohol physically?
Yeah, I noticed a lot because I did have some brain fog going on, and that really, really improved. But I just am not foggy like I used to be. I used to walk around with like a slight headache sometimes. I just feel like I'm much more hydrated now. I do think I make better food choices now too.
Oh, yeah.
It kind of like the good habits stack on each other as well.
Like a domino effect, right? Yeah, they do stack on each other. Yeah.
Yeah. What other health?
And you felt like such an imposter, a fraud when you're teaching all this health stuff and then drinking at night. It's interesting because I didn't think of it as really an unhealthy thing to do. But when I would wake up in the night or in the morning feeling sick, a part of my brain was going, this makes you sick.
Yeah.
You can feel that. You can feel the toxins. I remember I'd wake up at 3 in the morning and feel like how can I get these toxins out of my system as quickly as possible? And there's no rushing it at that point. Your body needs the time to process the alcohol out, and then thinking, yeah, you're hurting yourself. Like, face it.
Totally. And what I would do, which is, I think I actually have clients who do the same thing, is I would get up in the morning and I would go to a really hot yoga class, right? And I would almost like, I don't know if I was punishing myself. I think it was more like I was proving to myself, well, I can still do this, right? I'm still getting up. I'm still going to the class. I'm still making it through the class. So I don't need to cut back. Like I told myself that story for a while.
Many times. Yeah. Yeah. And then you took 30 days off and
then I didn't have to push myself. It was like, I loved going to class, right? I wasn't proving anything to myself. It was, I feel like my yoga practice improved. And on a more spiritual aspect of my yoga practice, I felt a lot more in alignment. I don't really think you can, be a true yogi and be drinking. I mean, that's just a personal opinion. There's a lot more to yoga than just going to the yoga studio and doing the physical postures. There's an 8-limb path, and the first 2 are the yamas and the niyamas, and they're basically like a moral code for living. And there's 5 of each. I mean, alcohol does not fit in with any of those.
Oh, really? Like what?
Like the first one is ahimsa. I feel like a lot of people have heard of that. And that is basically non-harming of yourself and others.
I love
alcohol, that. Yeah. I mean, it's physically harming. A lot of times it causes problems. It can harm your family. I mean, you just look at alcohol in society. It is a big harmful substance.
Yeah. I just was reading that it's causing more, causes of death than the next 10 dangerous drugs, prescription and non-prescription put together.
Yeah, people don't realize that.
We don't. We feel like it's just so benign. We feel like it's pretty benign. That's what I started feeling. I sort of relate to the imposter syndrome, where I felt like I'm lying to myself. Every time I say this doesn't matter, it's not hurting my body, or it'll be fine tomorrow, I'm kind of lying to myself.
Yes, I feel that so much. I was reading at one point, and this was a couple of years before I gave up drinking, but I was reading a book by Anna Forrest, who's a yogi. And it was, I was going through the process of this book, and I got to the point and she said, okay, now you have to like lay she called them addictions, which isn't really how I viewed my drinking, but she's like, all your substances, you need to put them down if you want to go any farther. And I shut the book and put it back
goodbye.
Yeah, I just wasn't, I like knew she was right. Like I got what she was saying, but I wasn't ready at the time to do it. It was
what do you think was keeping you from going ahead and just doing that? Just trying what she was teaching?
I think it was a little bit of fear. I think just, can I do it? And I don't know, I had just been doing it for so long. I don't know what the saying is and I'm going to mess it up, but it's like, we will do everything to stay comfortable, even if we know it's not, that's how the human brain
not
works.
Good for us.
Yeah. It's like, just don't change, this works, even if it's not working, instead of actually making the change. So yeah, I think it was fear that it would be too hard.
Yeah, it would be hard. Yeah, it'll be hard. It'll be sad. It'll be miserable, sort of. I was having those kind of like, this is going to suck kinds of feelings.
I didn't know if I would have any fun anymore.
Right. What if I lose all the fun in life? What if nobody likes me anymore? And I end up under a bridge,
Yeah. And what if I'm not fun, personally?
Yes.
And I mean, I'm happy to say, and this is one of the reasons that I coach around going alcohol free, is that it was way easier than I thought it would be. A lot of my fears were completely unfounded, and it was really empowering to be, to be out and be like, oh my gosh, I'm having just as much fun, and I don't have any alcohol.
And I don't have to worry about driving home now, and I don't have to worry about being sick tomorrow and having to get up late. And nice.
Yeah, it's so much better. I mean, it was really, really such a great experience for me. And I mean, I know I don't think our culture looks at it that way. It's like, oh, you only give up drinking if you're an alcoholic. But I just like to spread the message that letting it go is really an amazing process. It can be super empowering. It is way better for your health. And even if you just want to give it a try, 30 days, 60 days and just see for yourself. I think a lot of people are surprised by how many changes.
It's and you don't get a chance to see how easy it is unless you give it a try. But I feel like the message about alcoholism is you don't have to quit unless you have this special alcoholic problem. You don't have to look at your drinking. And if you look at your drinking because you're an alcoholic, you can never, ever drink again.
Yeah.
And both of those are like, oh, I don't want anything to do with that.
Yeah. And there's also the message that, you don't need to do anything until you have, you that come to Jesus moment where something terrible happens, the DUI. I mean, it's so silly. It's like we watch people give up gluten and give up dairy and all these other things in their diet. And I mean, I think that it is a lifestyle choice. It's like, oh, I'm removing alcohol from my diet. It is part of your diet. It really affects your microbiome, not in a good way.
It does. Yes.
Yeah. So it is, I mean, it can be the same thing as removing gluten or becoming a vegan. It's really not that different, I feel like the people I coach to, I say a lot of people are in the wellness sector. So they might even be yoga teachers or be acupuncturists, because all those people, even massage therapists, like a lot of those people are drinking, and it doesn't really go with what we're doing.
And do you think they're having that niggling thought of this doesn't quite fit, but I don't think I want to give it up?
I think I think some are for sure. And I think, I definitely think there's a lot of people out there who do have that thought.
Well, that's kind of your specialization as a coach, right? Is people in the wellness industry who want to look at their drinking in a different way, change their relationship with drinking. Do you insist that they have to quit drinking?
No, and it's like, it's just not people only in the wellness industry, but like people who are, identify as healthy. Like they're not identifying as an addict. That's just not my experience. And I don't, feel qualified to coach to that. But no, I mean, I want people to just decide what they want their relationship to be. I think it's hard to decide unless you at least take 30 days off.
Yes.
Just to really get back to homeostasis. And I'm reading, have you read Dopamine Nation?
Yes, I love it.
Yeah, I mean, she has all her clients, they have so many different quote unquote addictions from gambling, but it's like she starts off with that 30-day abstinence period because your dopamine doesn't really get back into alignment for that 30 days.
You feel just driven, like this is important to me and I got to get that. And I know dopamine's so interesting. We need some of it, but if we find something we just can't walk away from, this is terrifying. It's going to suck if I take a break from that. I don't know if I can do it. All those feelings are, like I'm too addicted to this dopamine hit. My weird obsession lately is watching YouTube videos about catfish, romance scams.
Yeah, our brains, our phones are such a source of dopamine.
Yes. Yeah, hit. And that's what's happening with the romance scams. You see where they get to, and their family's like, how could they let this happen? How could they mortgage their house, have to move in with us, etc., by sending money to these people? It's because it's several times a day they get a hit of I love you, you're my, even if they never meet the person. Anyway, it's
but I mean that's how it is for alcohol. Alcohol is a very highly concentrated source of dopamine for us. So it's like I think you need that 30 days to just reset, and then you can make some evaluations. And people, I mean, I don't say forever still. I mean, I don't think I will ever drink again, but I don't need to say forever. No one needs to say forever, I don't think.
It just scares our brain, right? What do you mean forever? I think it's, for me, the messages about being alcoholic and how you have to handle it if you're alcoholic are keeping way too many of us from ever even looking at our drinking and making a real informed, empowered choice.
I agree, because there's still a stigma. Like, why would you even take a break if you didn't have a problem?
Right.
It's so opposite than that. It's like, let's optimize our health.
Let's all do this once in a while. Let's all.
Yeah. And it is becoming more normalized. I mean, I think almost everyone's heard of dry January, sober October.
Right.
And so when I have clients that are really reticent or really worried about what other people will think, I'm like, just present it as a 30-day challenge. People do understand that now, I think, which is great.
Which is a good thing. There's a whole sober, curious movement. Like, let's just see what it feels like to not have alcohol for a period of time. I just felt like as a psychologist, I knew I'm not thinking that clearly to make really good choices as long as I'm drinking on a daily basis. I can feel it. Like you said, the brain fog, I had that pretty bad. Like
Mhm.
I know I don't have the best judgment right now, right?
Yeah. Yes, I felt that a lot. And I
Mhm.
love being more clear. It's such a difference.
Yeah. Well, tell us a little bit about what you like about the coaching that you do, and if people that are listening to us are curious about being sober curious or taking a break, how do you help people with that?
Yeah, I work mainly with women. I mean, I would work with men too. And again, I said usually people who are already kind of healthy or identify as healthy. And
Mhm.
really, I just see where people are and where they want to be. And a lot of times it will be, let's start with 30 days.
Mhm.
Let's see what happens. And then, I just offer, I don't want to say tricks, but some tips and tools and tactics that can make it easier because it can be
Mhm.
hard those first few weeks. I mean, your body is going to detoxify, even if you're not an addict.
Right.
Um, and, as we like our sleep may change, things like that. So help
Mhm.
people through that. And then for me, I really think the biggest, the way to let go of anything that's habitual is to really work on your mindset. You really have to
Mhm.
look at those thoughts like
Mhm.
everybody drinks and I'm only fun if I drink and I need it. And when you look at them and you go out and you discover, oh, I don't really need it.
Let's see if it's
Everything,
true, huh? Yeah.
yeah, and everything
Yeah.
can change. And once we change our mindset, I mean,
Mhm.
I thought there would be a ton of deprivation, but I don't want to drink. It's like
Right. You don't
not
feel
like,
deprived.
no, I feel so much better. And that's what I really love. Like my favorite thing about coaching is when people feel empowered by this new
Mm.
choice.
What does that look like or sound like in your coaching clients?
They will come back from I'm also like I go to a lot of live music and I've
Mm.
somehow drawn those people to me too. And
Uh-huh.
so one of the biggest fears for people who see a lot of go to festivals is like, can I make it through a music festival and not drink? And I will have clients, I use Boxer, the app,
Mhm.
they will Boxer me from the
The venue.
location and be like, I didn't drink last night and I saw the whole concert and it was so much better. I mean, for me,
Mm.
that
I
just like,
love that.
yeah, it like warms my heart. And I love that they're so proud about it. And I know what they're talking about. That feeling when you do it, you realize you're like more of a badass than you thought you were.
Yeah. Well, and I've had people in the exact same situation come back and say, I thought it was going to be less fun, but it was more fun. I stayed awake and alert. I think about one of the first concerts I went to like that was a Rolling Stones concert, and it was an
That's so
all day.
funny. I'm wearing a Rolling Stone shirt.
Maybe that's why I thought of it. By the time the Stones came on, I was drunk and passed out. I remember hearing somebody mentioning to my husband at the time, "Your wife's cute, but she's asleep." And it's like, yeah, already I was drinking that way where I didn't know how to handle that kind of day.
Yeah.
The drinking vodka and lemonade all day, you're thirsty, it's hot, and you've had five bands, and by the time the big band comes on, you're not even awake for it. It's like,
Yeah. And you're not. And I mean, it's interesting now because I still see a lot of live music and I'm sober all day. And yeah, by the time the big names on there, there's so many people that are drunk or passed out or
yeah,
falling. And I mean, it's kind of sad, but it's always a good reaffirmation for
reminder.
me. Yeah,
Yeah,
like, oh, you're doing the right thing. But yeah, I
yeah,
love having total recollection.
yeah,
Every conversation you had with people there, you remember.
yeah.
You don't have to spend what they're like $20 drinks now at concerts. Like you don't have to spend that money.
Yeah, I love how you're really portraying that it's easier than you think and there's more kind of joy. I think you used the word peace too. Like I'm just so much more at peace. Can you talk about what that looks like?
Yeah, I just feel like I have a lot more equanimity in my life. Like
Mm,
maybe the highs aren't as high sometimes, but they're definitely the lows aren't as low. I just feel way more grounded. Just yeah, way more peaceful, which is I did like some values workshop recently, and that was one of my top 5 values. Like I want to feel at peace. I don't need a
oh,
lot of drama, and I think alcohol brings the drama or health wise, even you feel good and then you feel bad. You're going from slightly hungover to
yeah.
buzz. You're not doing that to your body. You're just staying at homeostasis more often.
In Dopamine Nation, she really talks about, I think it's her, about how running after dopamine, after the big high, the big excitement, is sort of the opposite of going for the small, moderate daily life pleasures. And I hear that from people all the time that I coach about their drinking and their eating is, I'm just enjoying life more.
Yep.
Like
No,
all
it's
the
true.
small moments. Yeah.
Yeah, because we do lose that. Like things become our, like what did I read recently? Like our boredom threshold is so low when we're
Oh,
drinkers.
yeah.
Because we're
Yeah.
always like, well, it would be more fun with the drink, and we keep drinking. And like you said, we're just seeking that dopamine. And yeah, just the sunset or your child's soccer game. Like we don't find those things as enjoyable, which is so sad. And it's like
That
you
is
remove the
sad.
booze,
Yeah.
and yeah, the daily things are much more joyous.
I remember thinking too, like now that I'm drinking, if anything happens, like a friend or a family member or one of my pets needs to go to the doctor, I can't take them. So I felt like I was failing, like the people and even the pets in my life once I started drinking, which at that point was every day. Like, oh,
Yeah, I
now that
was.
I started drinking, I'm out.
Yep, I was an everyday drinker too. Yeah, and I have kids, and yeah, now I mean, I have a kid who doesn't make it through sleepovers, so she will call me at 2 a.m. sometimes,
Oh,
and I'm like,
yeah.
yes, for sure, I can come get you. It's such that feeling is so liberating too. I know that
Yeah.
I can be in control at any time. I can help a neighbor, I can help my children. Yeah, it's really freeing.
I love that you mentioned liberating because I know that for people like us, alcohol was sold as a liberating thing. And when we like went off to college and my parents can't tell me I can't drink, it felt like it was liberating. And then little by little, you start to feel like I feel a little trapped by this. Like I don't have a choice anymore. It's not liberating anymore. So I love hearing that when you quit drinking, you feel liberated.
Yeah.
I have a whole lot of choices.
Yeah, and now I can drive anywhere,
Right.
like again, like I see a lot of live music. It used to be, oh, you had to add the Uber into the whole equation, you know?
Right. Right.
I drive
Not
myself
necessary.
everywhere. Yeah, it really opens up your world, I think.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Beth. This has been such a fun conversation. Are there any parting words you'd like to share on this topic of health, alcohol, and imposter syndrome?
I would just say that really for me, giving up alcohol did solve that imposter syndrome. And I am more peaceful, I am more joyful, and it was easier than I thought. And I just think I feel like in retrospect, I wish I would have done this sooner. I thought it was going to be so much harder. And I just want people to know that, give it a try. Maybe it won't be hard if you think it
Yeah.
will be.
I love that. Thank you so much. And you have like something free that you're offering the people who are listening to this.
Tips to reduce sugar cravings when going alcohol free or anytime.
Oh, nice.
And it's
Yeah.
kind of practical tips and tools and just foods that you can swap out that are still healthy.
And they can get it at bethpurcell.com.
Yep. It pops
And,
up there, just
okay.
bethpurcell.com.
And
And
I
you can
can put
always,
the,
I mean, they can always DM me for anything on my Instagram too, which is Beth Purcell Coaching.
thank you so much. I love the message that it's liberating and that it might be easier than you think. I found the same thing. Changing my eating and drinking was way easier than I thought. I should have done it many, many years earlier. I'm so glad I figured it out. But all the people thinking, oh, it's going to be so sad. It's going to suck. It's going to be miserable. You might be surprised.
Yeah, your brain might be tricking you there.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you
Yeah.
so much, Beth.
Thanks for having me.